Well, hello. Thank you for your company. I'm not quite sure where this little waffle is going to go. I haven't got any particular plans, but other than to give this cutoff source some attention. Anyway, I'll set the camera up on the tripod at the end of the workshop, and I'll run it from time to time, and if anything sort of interesting comes out of it, I'll post it. Failing that, then you won't see this, and I'll be talking to myself again. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Never mind. They say there's nothing wrong with that, so long as you don't answer yourself. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. So what have we got here? We've got, so I can zoom into this. There you go. It's a firm, I think that's how you pronounce it. I think it's a Dutch company. FKZ 250. Bring it around that way, that's better. Let's go up a bit. No, it doesn't like the light, does it? Never mind. I've removed the guard here. It's okay, it's not switched on. This is not particularly an expensive machine, but it's not the cheapest of the cheap. It's reasonably well made, and but it's not 100% accurate, not 100%, and I like things set up right. Oh, that's better, look. And I've removed the guard. I don't think there's anything dangerous, but there's a certain amount of movement in the blade, and if I just rock it, there's some movement there. So I'm wondering if a bearing is worn or something, so I'm going to investigate this, and well, we'll see if a video comes from it. We'll see. Well, here I've removed the blade, and this machine normally sits on a folding trestle table. That wants attention, so perhaps I'll show that later. It's gone a bit rusty and wants a paint up. And perhaps I should have mentioned I didn't buy this machine new. I think I bought it at car boot or junk sale or something, and it's done a lot of work, so I don't know the history of the thing. Unfortunately, I can't afford to buy these sort of things new, so this is the way I have to work. Anyway, remove the blade. If I zoom in, can't really feel any movement here, but of course over the width of the blade there would be. But it would appear that this casting is held in by these two screws, so well, we'll investigate and see. Well, I've removed this cover. We've got some grease in there. There's our main driving wheel. Don't know what it sounds like. Well, surely it wouldn't have relied on one bearing in the middle there. Surely not. We have a little stubby end here, but the hole in that end, fingers in the way, is a lot larger than this, so a lot larger than this end, so would there have been a bush in there, I wonder? Last night I had a quick look on the internet to see if I could find any information. I couldn't see anything. Perhaps I'm looking in the wrong places. Anyway, we'll clean the grease up and see what we shall see. Well, I'm sorry about the noise. That's my compressor. It'll cut off in a moment. I've cleaned out the cavity, and there's cleaned most of the grease off of this fitting. I've blown it out with my air gun. See if we can whirl this up. Oh, I was hoping to let you hear it. It doesn't sound too bad. I put this in the vise and I can't feel any discernible movement, but what I'm surprised is that it would just be one bearing. That doesn't seem very good engineering practice. I would have thought this end being in there, would have had a bushel or something to give it some additional support. Anyway, I'm going to remove this clip and see if I can get another bearing and see if that's going to improve things. And also investigate why my compressor hasn't shut off. Back in a minute before it goes bang. Well, here I've disassembled the fitting. It's the bearing housing and the actual bearing itself. Little Woodruff key, a couple of clips and the central mandrel part. And it would appear that the whole thing relies on just that bearing, which I'm quite flabbergasted. We live in times now, I'm afraid, that you can't ring up companies anymore and get on a phone and actually speak to a person. It's all those times are gone, I'm afraid. It's push button 1, button 2, and people aren't interested anymore. It's sign of the times, I'm afraid. So, I know of a very friendly, helpful, and by God that's rare nowadays, bearing company, and I've gone along with bearings in the past from engines and things, and they've always been able to come up with something for me, so we'll take this along. It has got a few numbers under a magnifying glass, and we'll see what happens. Ah, well, success. Just a helpful bearing company. Goes off. 2 minutes later comes back with the exact same spec bearing. £9.30, sir, please. Oh, I said I really only wanted one. But I could tell by the guy's expression he didn't have a sense of humour, so it was a quick pay up and shut up and get out. So I do hope this is going to work. This video, although only perhaps 5 minutes long, has taken me all day to make, messing around one way or another. I've replaced the bearing assembly and it's made a tremendous improvement, but still not 100%. And I'm determined to make it better. So on the third attempt of taking out the bearings and mandrel, I've slightly upset the mandrel. I've cleaned it all up with carbon technichloride, both the mandrel and the inner and outer ball race surfaces. And then using the fly press and a few bits of tube, press the whole assembly together with bearing locker, Loctite, and on the bolts I've used thread locker. And the whole thing is 100% solid now. I'm really pleased. So I think it is well worth the effort. What a day's wages is worth, I don't know. But that's the way we got to work. When I bought this saw, the guy says you can have the stand. It was pretty rusty. The top was all warped because it was a chipboard. I've replaced it with a wooden top. And I didn't initially rate the frame much. There's no markings on it or no name. But it's very well made. It's very simple and some thought has gone into it. The top, there's 2 levers underneath. You operate the levers and the top swings in line with the back leg. The bottom tray hinges and locks the back leg with a rod across the back, keeping them apart. The plastic feet at the bottom that go onto the tube, I've just taken one off, and as you can see, if I get closer, the hole is eccentric. So by rotating the feet you can level up the whole frame. So it's a bit, it's more clever than it actually looks, and as the guy gave it to me, well, the price was right. While I've got the machine apart, I'll take the opportunity to touch up the blade. Here I've got a small lap and angled piece of wood accordingly. My eyesight isn't too good, so I've looked which way the shape of the tips go. I marked it with a felt tip pen, and so long as I keep to every other tusk going round and then change the blade over the other side to do the other shape, I'll keep the correct profiles. It's a little bit noisy, I'm afraid, but it's a handy way of touching up the tungsten tips. And so the process goes on all the way around the wheel. It's a bit crude, pardon me, but it certainly does the job. If I can find one that it's probably not easy to show on this camera. Yes, there you go. Should start cutting like a good one. Good enough for me, folks.